well across all of our devices. One of the things we alluded to earlier is that we were one of the first OEMs to introduce QVGA devices last year. And we found, unfortunately, that some applications didn't look good or didn't work right on the small screen. Or all of a sudden, they might have looked fine, but you didn't have something right in your manifest, and they didn't show up on Android Market, and consumers couldn't find your applications. So there's a bunch of new programs that we're launching to help ensure that your applications work well on the Motorola Xoom. The first is the MotoDev Application Testing Program. And we're announcing it tonight, and it will be fully launching shortly in the next few weeks. MotoDev members will get an email when it's fully ready to go. But the goal of this program is to identify applications which are compatible with and optimized for Motorola devices. And our initial focus is on tablet devices and the Motorola Xoom. And developers whose applications are deemed to be ready for the Motorola Xoom will be able to participate in a series of global application discovery and delivery channels. And so your applications will be tested against this series of standard industry criteria. So some of the criteria include, is all the functionality in your application accessible? Does it perform well? Does it fit well on the device screen? Are all the input methods of the particular device properly supported? Are all strings in your application spelled correctly? And if you have localized your application into multiple languages, have you gotten all of the strings translated, or does your app show up in half Spanish, half English because you didn't actually get everything translated? Does the application handle application events well, system events well? Does it handle failures well? So does it crash, or does it pop up a dialog? Does it recover well? One of the failures that you think applications might handle better than they do is loss of network connectivity. There's a lot of applications that actually don't handle something that could be very common. Especially if you're driving on 280 in the Bay Area, you might lose network connectivity. You want your application to continue working well. And on the Xoom side, we'll be checking, does your app support the new tablet UI framework? Are all your stacks and activities properly maintained? And are you taking advantage of the new action bar? Have you chosen to use that in optimizing your app for Xoom? So stay tuned for more about this program in the coming weeks from MotoDev. Look for an email from us with the details. The other program which we've launched tonight is the new MotoDev App Validator. How many of you have heard of or used the App Validator in MotoDev Studio? A few hands? So this is something we just announced last fall. It's part of MotoDev Studio, but we put out now tonight is an online version on the MotoDev website. So you're able to go to our website, drag an APK onto our web page, drop it in, and you'll immediately get results. And what the App Validator does is it does a static analysis of your application, of your Android APK file. So it's not decompiling anything. It looks at the Android manifest and looks to see what screens you support. Or if you say you depend on an autofocus camera with flash, or if you depend on calling features. And it's going to tell you what Motorola devices your application may not show up on in Android Market. It's going to look for mismatched settings in the manifest.ini. It's going to help you identify layout issues that are specific to different size displays. It's going to look at your drawable resources, and if you have a layout that references a PNG file that's missing in your APK, it's going to call that out. We had one developer whose application worked well in all cases except for a small screen device. The layouts actually look good, but since he hadn't gotten a real device to test it on, he didn't know his layout was referencing a graphic that wasn't in the application. So it can catch this for you before you deploy your application to market. It can help catch some of the errors with improperly or not fully localized applications, or if you're trying to declare dependence on a forbidden or dangerous permission that you might not have the proper signature to use. So this is an online tool. It's going to be constantly updated, so we encourage you to check it out on the MotoDev website. It's live and ready to go tonight. Woo. So, how can you get started? So some of you might go home and do this tonight. Some of you might, actually get some sleep. I don't know who needs sleep. But I'm going to kind of repeat what Anna said. We want you to download MotoDev Studio, our Eclipse-based IDE, and the Android 3.0 SDK. And yes, if you've downloaded Honeycomb, we know the Honeycomb emulator is a little bit slow, but please, please, please install your app on the emulator and see what it looks like. You don't have to test every single feature of your app on the emulator, but make sure the basic UI is right.